Hi, my name is Robot. Welcome to this new series of machine learning tutorials, which I'm calling Pair Programming with Robot, PP with Robot for short. This series is aimed at beginners who have already trained a basic MNIST model. My goal is for this to be the second deep learning model you've trained. We'll build in Python and PyTorch in this series, so having a rudimentary understanding is helpful. But don't worry, I'll explain everything as we go. For this series, we'll develop a model for face-related tasks, starting with landmark localization. But for today's video, we'll start out the series nice and easy with some basic data exploration. The dataset we'll be using is a synthetic generated dataset from Microsoft. I have another video that's a deep dive on the method, but in summary, these are procedurally generated faces with perfect labels. One of the things I'm interested to explore in the series with you guys is to see how well synthetic data transfers into practical applications. Taking a quick look at this dataset, we have 100,000 images with 512 by 512 resolutions. Each image has 70 facial landmarks as well as semantic annotations. We'll focus on just the landmarks for now and ignore the semantics. We can also get this dataset in samples. We'll be using the smallest one for today. One thing to note about these landmark labels, they are not outlines of the face, but rather an X-ray version of the landmarks, so kind of seeing through the face. If this doesn't make sense to you, don't worry, it will become clear as we explore this dataset. To get started, I'm just going to unzip and start our instance of the Jupyter Lab. So we're going to start off by importing the path class from the pathlib library. This will allow us to navigate through the data directory more effectively. We can loop through all the files using the literary directory function. Here we are interested in building an index for all the PNG files. We can do this by testing if the underscore symbol is in the file name or not. And if it's in it, we'll skip that file, and if it's not, we'll add that file to the index list. This will then give us only a list of the PNG files that we care about. Next, we want to randomly sample from that file. So we'll import NumPy, and we'll leverage the NumPy random choice function. This will choose a random index every time we run that function. So next, we want to load that image into memory. We'll import the image class from the payload library. We can open the image using the open function on the image class. So here, every time we run the function, we'll get a random sample. Next, we want to load the landmarks in as well, but first we'll need to derive the landmark file path. We can do this by first casting the image path to a string, and then replacing the .png part of the string with landmark part of the string. This will then give us the landmark path. Next, we want to load that landmark into memory. So we'll do this using the standard way to read file into Python. This gives us the text of the file. We can then separate everything out by using the split function. This only gives us strings, however, so we'll cast that into a NumPy array. And we'll make sure the data type for this array is float instead of string. This, however, gives us a one-dimensional array. But we're interested in the XY coordinates. So we want to reshape this into a matrix of size 70 and 2. The 2 represents the XY position of the points. We'll then throw everything there into a function. So we'll declare a function called readLandmark. And we'll return the object once the function finishes. So to summarize, this first opens the file and reads that into a text format. We'll then split that into individual elements and then cast the entire thing into a NumPy array. And then we'll reshape that NumPy array into XY coordinates.
I say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Hey, post-editing robot here. There's actually a bug in this function. I'll give you some time and see if you can figure out what's wrong with it. Yeah, so the input argument for this function was never used, and the function is still loading from another variable. Just make sure you change that. Alright, back to scheduled programming. So here, we can then also load the landmark into memory. And now let's try to visualize this. The easy way to visualize both images and landmarks is to use matplotlib. We'll import that as well. And using matplotlib, we can use the image show function, which will give us this image in a coordinate space. And we can use scatter to give it first the x coordinate and then also the y coordinate. This then will then plot the landmark as a scatter plot. Let's reduce the size of the points. And let's also make the points clear by changing the color to green. So here, we can sample a variety of these different labels, and the X-ray nature of the labels becomes clear. Where here, we're seeing the other side of the jawline as if we're able to see through everything. So that's the end of this video. In the next video, we'll try out some basic data manipulation, and we'll prepare the data loader to train our neural network.